Back when making Doom Eternal, its motto was what if instead of giving the player a power fantasy, we made him earn it. Now the Dark Ages dares to ask the question, what if we gave it back? The Dark Ages immediately makes you feel cool. It probably has the lowest skill floor of any of the recent Doom games. You can immediately hop in and just start doing some incredible stuff. As much as I love Eternal, I always feel like I have to shake off the rust when I replay it. I need a few levels to get back into the groove of things. The Dark Ages just clicked instantly. From the millisecond the game gives you control, you are the badass demon slayer you're supposed to be. And mind you, this is a completely different game than both 2016 and Eternal. The pace has been toned down compared to Eternal. People online will have you think that the Dark Ages has a similar pace to Resident Evil 2, but no. This is still a really quick game, it just doesn't have the breakneck pace of its predecessors. The reason for this is that there are more enemies on screen than in any Doom game ever. You are legitimately fighting hordes upon hordes of enemies and it feels amazing. There's also no more verticality. Long gone are the days of jumping over a group of demons while destroying them with a rocket launcher, instead now replaced by parrying. Parrying is not something I knew I wanted in a first-person shooter, but now that I do have it, I desperately need more of it. You can parry almost every attack in the game and you get a very satisfying sound effect when doing it. You can then upgrade the parry to do counter damage to demons and the end result is beautiful. The parry mechanic is the main reason behind the game's tagline being stand and fight. And while that is true when you've cleared the rest of the battlefield and there's only one enemy left, it just doesn't apply to the rest of the game. You still need to move around like a madman because otherwise you'll get swarmed by dozens of demons. This is where the newly added shield comes into play. It basically gave Captain America's shield to the Slayer. Not only does it make him look somehow even cooler and allows him to parry as previously mentioned, but it also gives him two new abilities. One is the option to throw the shield, which either stun locks or one-shots demons. I love this because not only is it gratifying to do, but I no longer have to obsess over preserving ammo when slaying fodder demons. I can just toss the shield and be done with it. This probably fixes an issue only I and another 3 people had, but I really appreciate it. The other ability is the Sealed Bass. Unfortunately, the meat hook did not make a return in the Dark Ages. In its place, the Sealed Bass allows you to lock onto any enemy on the battlefield and practically instantly teleport towards them while sawing their face in half. While I did miss the tactile feedback of attaching onto a demon and slowly reeling yourself towards them, I do understand the need to quickly move around the much larger levels. Talking about things that are no longer in the game, glory kills are also gone. Again, while they will be missed, it's understandable why they're not here. As the game's creative director Hugo Martin said in a recent interview, there are simply way too many enemies for them to be glory killed. It would probably become a parody of itself, and it would have the same problem as each and every game that has pre-animated takedowns. Repetition. In its place, you just really quickly punch or strike demons away. It's basically still glory killing, but without the animation. There's an increased emphasis on melee fighting in general. What was completely useless in Eternal is one of the Dark Ages' main focuses. You get 3 different melee weapons, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. I preferred the Dread Mace since it does a lot of damage and refills all of your ammo on impact. Unlike Eternal, ammo isn't really hard to come by in this game. You can very easily beat the Dark Ages using only the weapon of your choice. All guns are satisfying to use, they pack a decent punch, the sounds they make are visceral, and the visual damage on enemies has never been better. I think the combat really shines when all the things I mentioned come together. When you take out 10 enemies with one throw of the shield only to recall it and parry, or when you just punch an enemy, it's just incredibly gratifying. In the beginning of the video, I said that the game has a really low skill floor. It doesn't take a lot to do awesome stuff, and that's brilliant game design. But despite the low skill floor, the skill ceiling for this game still feels sky high. I don't think I even scratched the surface of what I can do with its combat. You can definitely pull off some crazy combos that decimate demons in seconds. And it all comes down to the game's combat being pure fun. There are very few combat systems that can match up to that of the Dark Ages, maybe ever. It's not perfect though. Anything that isn't boots on the ground combat just isn't on the same level of quality. The Power Rangers Megazord battles are actually fun and a spectacle to watch, but they are quite simplistic and lack depth. Turret sections are nothing to write home about, they appear only twice and don't impact the general experience in any meaningful way. My main issue stems from the dragon levels. They're not bad, but they're very bland for such a cool concept. You get to battle enemies while riding a dragon, but these levels play like Star Wars Squadrons. And if you don't remember Squadrons, that's exactly my problem with them. Doom shouldn't be playing like a mediocre game from 2020. You stand in place, dodge a couple of attacks, and repeat until everything is destroyed. Again, they work, but these levels feel so undercooked compared to the rest of the game. I won't be excited to play them when I revisit the game, and I surely won't be looking forward to the exploration either. As with all the recent Doom games, you can upgrade your weapons, but unlike these games, the only way to get those upgrades is by meticulously exploring all the levels. No part of the upgrades stems from completing combat challenges, which is just absurd for a Doom game. For a first playthrough, the exploration is fine, but I don't want to do this every time I replay the game. It really needs to find a way to let us play the game without exploring, because I don't want to do that again. And due to weapon upgrades being locked behind the exploration, as well as ammo being really easy to get, I never felt the need to use my entire arsenal. I just found that the Ravager was broken and kept using that. This weapon gave me both ammo and health back just by shooting it, not to mention the insanely high rate of fire and very large clip. I do have a problem with that. If the best weapon to use is also the coolest one, then that's alright by me. But since the super shotgun isn't the best weapon to use, I felt pigeonholed into using a weapon I didn't like as much. I didn't really like the super shotgun in this game. Yeah, it does a lot of damage, but the inability to parry while reloading it really killed its usability for me. I think if you were to ask 50 people on what guns they used on this game, they would all give different answers, and that's great. I just wish the process of getting each weapon to its maximum capability was a lot less tedious. Also, I know it's not called Doom the Light Ages, but did it really have to be so dark all the time? Most levels are very dim and not really pleasant to look at. Eternal had very distinct colors for each of its levels, but this doesn't really appear here. Most of the latter half of the game is just very dark. Maybe it's just me, but I could have done with a lot more color. My biggest problem with the game, however, is with the soundtrack. Look, I would not want to be in finishing moves position. Any other game, I'd probably say that this is a decent soundtrack with a couple of standout tracks. Because yeah, Infernal Chasm and the main menu theme are excellent Doom tracks. But this is a Doom game, and for better or worse, we've been spoiled. And the only way I think finishing move could have appeased a lot of us is making one of the best metal soundtracks ever made. And this is simply not it. It's aggressively okay. A lot of it blends in with the gameplay, and I even had the music turned up to 100 in the settings. I don't know, this just feels like someone doing a job. It's a job well done, but I feel like it lacks passion. Mick Gordon's soundtrack, as well as that of the Ancient Gods, oozed passion for the franchise. It felt like Doom fans were making music that was uniquely Doom, even if I didn't always love it. This feels so generic by comparison. Remember how id didn't want guitarists in Doom 2016 soundtrack because they considered them overdone in the genre? Finishing Move just proved their point for them. It's not bad by any means, but I doubt I'll remember most of it in a week. Even the intro just didn't carry the same hype for me. On the topic of the intro, I didn't really enjoy the story either. I don't expect a Doomgate to deliver an Oscar-worthy story, but I do expect it to have the courtesy of not having a lot of it. I don't believe I'm saying this, but there's just too much story in the Dark Ages. Anytime the Doomslayer is aura farming, I don't mind. You can have these cutscenes as much as you want. But there's just so much time wasted on characters that I could not care less about. Slowly but steadily, we've taken a massive step back from 2016's brilliant simplicity. 2016's story worked because it was perfectly tailored around the Slayer. And even if you must have a story like in Eternal, a lot of the charm is also gone. Eternal has a lot of moments that were straight up funny, like you can't shoot a hole in the surface of Mars, or the guard swearing he wasn't afraid of the Slayer until he actually saw him. Small stuff that really help the game's overall tone. Here, everything is so serious all the time and it's not an interesting watch. Everyone but the Slayer, from the main villain to the supporting cast, feels incredibly generic and uninteresting. I guess if you care about Doom's lore it could work, but don't we have books and comics for that? Did we really have to tell a generic story in the most boring way possible? Doom the Dark Ages frustrates me. Its gameplay is in my opinion the cream of the crop of first person shooters, and for that alone I consider it a great game. I think I may even prefer it over Eternal's gameplay. But everything around the gameplay is such a mess and it's a shame. While I do disagree with the part of the community that's heavily against the Dark Ages, I do believe that this is a great game that could have been much more. It left me wanting more, which is a rare feat for any game, but it also gets so many things wrong. None of them deal breakers, but just enough to frustrate me. I am curious to see how history will treat this game, but for now, it has a brilliant core that isn't really supported by anything that's not the gameplay. And that would be my review of Doom the Dark Ages. If you enjoyed the video and you're wondering how the hell we got here, you can watch my History of Doom video, including John Carmack comparing video game stories to stories of rated R content, Steve Jobs presenting Doom 3's engine, Doom 2016 almost being a Call of Duty ripoff, and more. You can click here to watch it, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.